Yeah, hey guys. Good morning to one and all. You welcome to Serverless Saturdays number 3. So we welcome all of you to our Serverless Saturdays for the month of April. We've had pretty good Serverless Saturday events in March as well. I hope you guys tune in for that as well. So yeah, today we have two great sessions from two amazing speakers. And here's Sushit, as you know, our AWS Serverless hero right here. So Sushit, yeah, do you want to continue?
Yes, thank you so much. And a very warm welcome to everybody attending the third edition of Serverless Saturdays. So it is an initiative from AWS User Group Tirupati and the Serverless group from Bangalore. So we are doing Serverless Saturdays every month, the fourth Saturday of every month, and we plan to get you some excited sessions from experts across the globe. Now that we are all remote, which is in a way good in terms of getting knowledge from across the globe. So a very warm welcome to all of you guys today. So we have two sessions today lined up. The very first one is from Rajalakshmi Srinivasan, Director, Product Management at Zoho Corp. I know pretty much a lot of you might have already heard about Zoho, so it'll be really interesting to understand from Raji about how they solve things with serverless with that scale and so many customers. I'm really looking forward to it. And the session is about serverless, why, what, when, and how, which will be very interesting for people who are getting started. And the next we have Alex, who is an AWS community builder. I've been fortunate to know him via the Community Builders program, and really excited to have him here as a part of our Serverless Saturdays, and really looking forward to his session about connecting us with video. In the times of COVID situations, I mean, it is everything remote and video and everything, right? So really looking forward to his session and his video about how serverless is going to help us build solutions that are video focused. So really excited for these couple of sessions today, and I hope you guys have an interesting Saturday and learn a lot from it. So request you guys to go ahead and start it and share about this event in your network so that a lot more people can get benefited out of it. And there's a giveaway from Zoho. We really thank Zoho for the same. And I think at some point in time today, Akshay will be sharing the link for the same. So
Yes.
yes, thank you so much, everybody, joining today, and we hope you have a really good Saturday. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for that intro, Sushit. Your mandatory intro, as always. So yeah. So right now, let's get started with our first session. So like Sushit said, we have a great speaker for our first session, and without in further ado, let me bring her on stage. Yeah. So like Sushit said, we have a great speaker for. Hey, Rajalakshmi.
Hi, good morning.
Yes,
Happy
good
to
morning.
be here on
Awesome,
a Saturday
excited.
morning.
Yeah, especially on a Saturday morning, right? Yeah.
True.
So yeah, and yeah, it'll be great if you could just get started with with your session. And before that, if you could give a brief introduction about who you are and what you do and what your talk will be about.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
So good morning, all of you. So I'm Rajalakshmi Srinivasan. So I'm a director at product management at Zoho Corporation. So I've been associated with Zoho for the past 21 years. This is the 22nd year at Zoho. So I'm sure all of you know about Zoho as a company, and we have been in existence for 25 years now. We recently celebrated our 25th anniversary. So all that will look flashy, nice, but there are ups and downs that we have had to come to this stage as well. Fine. So all along my career, I've been with product development. I'm a core techie person, so I've been with product development. I've worked with various products in the company where we have focused more on the R&D and how to do the scaling, architecture, by design, and there are various products at Zoho. And now currently I'm product manager for the application performance monitoring division of the monitoring segment. Site 24/7 is a monitoring product from Zoho. So this session is not going to be any specific on what is the product that I'm working on, or at large, how do we handle the scale at Zoho and all. So I'm not correctly. Shushit. It's very unique.
Yes.
Okay, sorry if I haven't pronounced rightly. So he has set a great expectation of how we handle the scale. So that's a totally different landscape or totally different game. So this is going to be, the session is about the serverless that is picking up, and or it has been in use now, and why. It will be a basic session, and I will I'll give a different perspective to it based on my experience and how I see the trend moving towards. What's the benefit of moving towards this? Why should people move or adopt serverless itself? Some basics, but in my own style. So I did listen to the previous 2 editions of Serverless Saturdays. So I could see that Shushit managed he was a speaker in both the sessions. So I thought today also he would do, but he just escaped, putting me and Alex in the channel, and he's sitting and watching. So I did go through, and people like Shushit, Akshay, and the other people. You are all hands-on experts in. You said he's an AWS guru. Okay, so but we do work hands-on, but this is not going to be a hands-on session. I'm setting the tone clearly. So it's going to be general use cases. Why because somebody, if you're starting serverless, we can describe serverless as in one word and go. In one sentence, we can say what is serverless. But the more you talk about it, more you hear from different persons, the different perspective, you will understand, and then it will be useful when you're deploying it. So it's going to be that kind of a session is what I would say. So I'll have my session for some 30-40 minutes is what is general attention span of any session, I would call it. When people give me 1 hour time, I say, no, just 40 minutes will do. That's the general audience span. I don't want to bore people with the elongated session. Then I'll be open to take any questions if they are. And that's how it's going to be. Okay. I'll
Awesome.
share my presentation.
Yes. I'll just add it to the stream and I'll drop backstage.
Okay. So if you, in case you see some chat messages or something you need to tell me, you have to interrupt, because
Sure.
situations like this, being remote, being virtual, I'm just talking to myself. And when I move to the presentation, I don't even see myself. So it's like I'm talking to the presentation itself. So that could be the scenario. But I think we should be fortunate we are at least able to do this in this current scenario where people are undergoing tremendous. The pandemic out there is seriously, I don't want to think about it. It's very pathetic. So we should be thankful that we are all safe and stay safe, and we are able to continue do this and connect remotely. So that's a positive side we should take. And this pandemic has actually opened the doors for this virtual. The physical barriers are gone. Anybody from anywhere around the world, just connect with people. Of course, the physical connect is missing, but at least we are able to do that. Okay, so let's get started with the session.
Okay, so let me know once you share your slides.
Yeah,
I'll add it to this.
I think I have shared.
Okay, could you go full screen so that I'll add?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah, looks good. I'm dropping backstage.
Perfect. Thank you. So as I said, this is going to be a general session on what is serverless, why do you need that, when do you have to use it, and how do you use it in your day-to-day activities. So the agenda goes like this. The topics that we'll be discussing are about the brief intro of the evolution of the application architecture itself from 20 years ago when I started my development as a product developer, as a software developer, to where it is today, a small intro, and then about the traditional IT layers to function as a service, the evolution and transformation. Then we'll get into all about serverless. So what are all the providers that are available, and what are some of the use cases that will be helpful possibly in your business, day-to-day business. If you have such a use case, can you use serverless in place of what you're traditionally using now? And what are the benefits of using serverless? What are the trends, current trends and future trends? What are the challenges? So there are going to be challenges in any field that we take. So what are the challenges? And what is the monitoring need that is required for any platform or any serverless technology that you're using? So though I'll just spend some 2-3 minutes on each of the topics. It's not going to be an elongated session. So each of them will be crisp and clear ones. And then I'll talk about a little philosophical phenomena of the golden circle of why we have to do things and wrap up the session. Evolution of application architecture. So if you look at the applications, how typically in application development comprises of client-server architecture. That's I'm sure most of you are here are developers. You'll be able to understand most of what what I'm trying to say. So if you see some 20 years earlier, the client-server architecture used to be like this. There used to be a client component, and there used to be a server component, and the client-server talks using basic commands. And if you see, all of this resides in one corner of your own infrastructure, the physical server and physical using your machine, you connect to that server. So in your office premise, this infrastructure resides. So that's how the client-server architecture used to be. And then with Web 2.2, Web 2.2 was a phenomenon started picking up way back in 2005. It's 16 years now since cloud started picking up. That's the time period when Zoho, we saw that in the industry that the cloud is going to be the future, and we started developing products for the cloud market from that early ages of 2005. That's the Web 2.2 technology, where all along that time frame, the web was considered a medium of consuming content. But with the Web 2.2 technologies, the web was not just considered as a medium of consuming content, but it was also a medium of contributing content. People started writing their own blogs and uploading it. People started taking videos and uploading it. So the collaborations and the communications became important, and softwares for them became important. So the communication, the client-server communication became like, you have a server component. The server can be anywhere in the world. Using a simple architecture through cloud, you can connect from the cloud client anywhere across the globe and fetch the data. That's the Web 2.2 transformation that became. So with Web 2.2, there were a lot of public cloud providers who came in. We all know AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. There are a lot of public cloud providers who have their infrastructures being deployed they have the servers deployed across the globe. And as clients, you can just use your tablet or mobile or the desktop or the laptop and just connect through the internet, through the cloud. But the businesses did not go completely cloud. It was more of a hybrid infrastructure, because there were some scenarios where we wanted to have on-premise. There are still applications which are legacy applications which cannot be taken to the cloud. So more and more of hybrid is what is even existing today. There is some amount in private as well as some amount in public servers. So this is typically the transformation of a client-server architecture. If you want to put it in another terminology or put it in another representation, you could call this as what was a monolith architecture, where you had everything in one server component, be it the business logic, the data that you're going to access, the processing that you do, the user interface that you're going to have, that everything is one complete system. The monolith architecture transformed to microservice architecture. Microservices started picking up or is still in progress. It's not that every business have moved to microservice and containerized architecture. This is just an evolution that is happening, where each of these components, be it your business logic or your data accessing or your file processing, it could be any of these layers. All these can be run as an individual container. So it need not be a complete full mega monolith one piece anymore. It's easy for you to run each of these pieces separately. You can develop, you can test, you can deploy, you can build, you can deploy, and you can do things independently. So that is how the microservice architecture is evolving, and businesses and applications are moving towards that. Each of this is run in a container, and it's easy for you to control it. So that's the microservice architecture. But today, or the recent years, from microservice architecture, people are moving towards serverless. I don't want a server at all. All that I need is a function. I have function. There are today providers for all of this. Function as a service. So all that I need, whatever processing I want to do, it could be a simple IO process, or it could be an advanced set of sequence of APIs that I need to call, or it could be I want to do some configuration changes, or it could be that I want to do some event driven and I want to generate a report. It could be anything that you want to do. All of this can be just built as functions. You don't have to own the backend basic, the server component itself. Just functions, and function as a service is picking up, and that is what is serverless today. So from monolith to microservice to functionless, serverless is a transformation. It's another way of depicting the transformation. So all this, bottom line is what? We are all trying to build applications. As developers, as software engineers, we are trying to build applications that could be useful for end customers. So at the end of the day, our end goal is to make sure that we take the product quickly to the end customers. So that's what is important. So this is the evolution of the application architecture itself. So if you talk about a cloud architecture, I can broadly classify the cloud architecture into 4 different layers. I will also give different layers down the line, but the major 4 different layers that comprises any cloud architecture is, the topmost is your end user layer, which comprises of your browsers or your mobile phones or your tablet, using which you connect to the application, which is the next layer. The application layer is more like your software as a service layer, where the actual business logic is hosted. Today, for any business, this is the crucial component. What is the idea? What is the business logic that you have? Just focus on that. Leave the rest of the things to the providers who are already providing solutions for them. Because gone are the days where you have to worry about first procuring all the infrastructure components or the server components if you have to come up with an idea to start a business. Today, everything is available as service. Even this application is now split into functions and application, and the server component itself is not required anymore. And then the next layer is your platform layer, which is platform as a service, which comprises of your caching servers, NoSQL database, queries, microservice containers. Those comprises the platform layer. And the bottommost is your infrastructure layer, which actually comprise the physical servers, virtual servers, cloud servers, load balancer, firewall, router, switch, network layer. Everything comes under the infrastructure layer. Now, why I'm talking about these layers is, you can, in any application building, any business, you can classify them under these 4 layers. And if you're doing a cloud architecture, it is important for you to know the end-to-end visibility of what is happening across all these layers. That's what today DevOps or SREs or IT administrators are more concentrated about, to know, because the problem could be anywhere. Even in a serverless architecture, if something goes wrong in your application code, you can very well use another container or another function and get the result. But then somewhere you may have to know what is happening in all these layers, depending upon if you are a developer or if you are a hosting provider. Depending upon who you are, the depth of what you need to know across the layers will vary. If you are an IT administrator or a DevOps person, you have to know what's happening across all these layers. Now, to drill down further these layers and put it across what portion you own versus what portion the provider can give you, this is not something very new. This is all already people know. Just as a brush up to set the context of what we are talking about, I'm just talking about these things. So the traditional IT is, the 4 layers can be classified into these 10 to 11 different layers, where actually the data center, the bottommost will be your data center. Then there is the network, storage, servers, virtualization, the OS, the middleware, runtime, data, applications, and functions. So all this in a traditional IT environment, on-premise, these are all self-managed. You have to take care of managing all of them. Let's see how this is progressed actually. In a co-location space where you share the data center with another vendor or another business person, the data center is provided as a service. Rest of the components you have to take care. In a hosting provider, the hosting provider takes care up to the server level. You can purchase servers from hosting providers. Linode is a hosting provider. DigitalOcean is a hosting provider. So you can purchase from AWS itself is a hosting provider. You can purchase from them, and then the rest of it you take care. So that's the hosting provider. Infrastructure as a service, until the virtualization layer, the provider takes care. Rest of it you have to manage. So that's the infrastructure as a service. FaaS is up to the platform layer, the vendor manages, and then you have to take care of only the applications functions. Function as a service is more like only the function is what you need to worry. Leave the rest of it to the service provider, which means your focus is going to be more on what is the problem that you're solving. That's very, very important. The problem that you're solving, you have to solve it in using your functions, making use of all the third parties that are already available, which you can make use of. We'll discuss them in the use cases, in the serverless use cases. Serverless falls under this category. And the last one will be your software as a service, where you don't manage anything. You just use them, subscribe to them and use them. That's how we are now using most of our services, be it your retail, any retail shopping that you do, or your banking, your finance applications. All of them are SaaS applications, where as an end user, you are only worried about, you don't worry about anything. You just subscribe to them and use their service. Their development, their developers, or their the business owner has to take care of what they do. So this is the different transformations in the different architecture layers. So with that introduction, let's get into serverless, which is the actual topic today. So I'm sure all these are just a brush up of what we are going to discuss next. So going into serverless, I just said we'll talk about some 4 or 5 different topics. So first about the serverless providers. So who are all the serverless providers who are available in the market? All of us would have tried different versions, and we know all these names. I missed the physical connecting with people during these times. Yeah, raise of hands, we all would have used AWS Lambda functions. And then we all would have used Azure functions. These are all the different providers who provide function as a service, the serverless components. IBM also has function. And then we have this Google functions which can be used, Google Cloud functions. Alibaba Cloud also has functions which can be used. And to add on to this list, there are many more. I have not included everything. To add on to this list, Zoho also has a product called Catalyst, which is a function as a service. So if you want to try different versions and see what is existing in that, you are free to try it as well. I'm just including it here. I'm not getting into the details, just to make sure, or just to let you know that the function as a service is also available as part of Zoho. Be it whatever provider you take, be it a Lambda function or Azure function or Google function or any function you take, the problem it solves is going to be the same. Just that there are different variations to it, or how it is being used, and based on the strengths of each of the providers and based on what your need is, you're going to choose and you're going to use it. Let's put it all this together and just let's be vendor neutral. We are not getting into any specific vendor here to talk about things. Let's just call this as FX. That's the function as a service, and let's get into use cases that it could solve. Moving on to the use cases, I should say there are hundreds of use cases that we can talk for why serverless is important and what it could solve. But I'll just stick on with 4 or 5 important use cases that serverless could solve. First thing is an application, writing a web application. So as I said earlier, it used to be a web application is an important thing for solving any problem that you have in hand. That's the core important thing. And it used to be like it will take a lot of time and effort and energy and resources to build an entire web application. No. Today, with serverless, this has become very easy. The client layer has to there is some amount of intelligence that is brought into the client layer itself, which makes you talk with the different functions. The authentication service that you require for your web application can be a different function. You can use third parties that are available for those services. It could be a OAuth, it could be a OneAuth, it could be there are various providers for each of these services. So that is another, you can make use of them. And the data storage could be different. If you are very sure that you can use the data storage from AWS Firebase data storage, you can use that. So you can use multiple providers as well. All that you need is building a web application is today easy. Just you have to find out what are all the components that you need to use for your business logic, for the problem at hand that you're going to solve or that you're planning to solve, building a typical web application itself. So what are the different modules that are required for you, and just make use of all the different providers and functions that are available, the APIs that are available for authorization, authentication, sending mails. It could be any component. Just identify the components. Building a web application is very easy with serverless. You can build the entire application. And there are other use cases as well. There could be a scenario where you have to schedule a task. A lot of work today are done using scheduling. It's not that it's always only user triggered. User triggered task, or you go in the client, click, and the request is sent to the server, processed, response is sent back. That's one type of processing. Lot of jobs are done in the backend. It could be a data truncation. It could be what do you do? Data archiving, or you could do some backup restoration. So, or you'll have to run a weekly report. All of these are cron jobs. So scheduling all these cron jobs is very easy using functions, using the serverless components. So there could be a scheduler component, and you just have to feed into another function which fetches the database, and you can use another function to send notification. The notification could be an email notification, or SMS notification, or a voice call alert. Could be any form of alert. But all these are available functions which could be used easily, and the cron job scheduling is another use case. If you have such a use case, you can move your application to the serverless architecture. And the important beauty of this is the multi-language support. You are not stuck with building the functions as only one particular language. There could be the backend language. There could be some which are specialized in some languages. The Java scheduling is easier to do. You can use schedules from Java language. If you want to do some processing and you want to control the processes running in a Windows application, using a .NET framework will be easier. And there could be experts in each of these languages which you want to use in your system, in your application. The multi-language, the support, and the integration across the multiple different languages functions is the beauty of serverless. You're not stuck with only one particular language. I think using this is what the open telemetry and open tracing itself is picking up in an application performance monitoring world, where people don't want to restrict themselves with one vendor. They just want to make use of, make it vendor neutral and use all the different types that are available. So those are the trends that are picking up, which is all possible because of the serverless and the functions. And CI/CD pipeline. In any CI/CD pipeline, automation can be triggered using functions. If you write a code, and once you are done with the code and you want to do a build, there can be a function which takes care of compiling it and building it as a build. And from the build stage to test stage can be another function which takes care. So it makes the process very easy, and you can make quick releases. So this is also another use case where you can see if you can replace your traditional working methodology using functions. Automating CI/CD integrations is possible. The other use case is, I'm sure we are going to have a dedicated session on working with videos. That's the next one that's coming up. I'm also keenly looking at the demonstration of how things can be done. But the image and video manipulation is another use case of serverless, because whatever images or videos can just be taken as input feeds, and using the different technologies that are available, be it the AWS recognition of identifying the faces, and then you can tag them, or you can also identify and mark it as spam. So that's also possible. And there is you can, in some cases, you may want to use another provider. Google has a Vision API which you want to make use of. And if you want, you can use that as well. And you may use it to reduce the size and bring it to a thumbnail size and populate it. If you have such use case, that can be again achieved using functions. So whatever use case you have, whatever, this is just 5 different use cases that I have touched upon. There are hundreds of use cases, and whatever you have, you are the best judge for if you can use the serverless functions in your applications use case. So you should see where it is used, what are all the available functions that can be taken and deployed, and make sure you make the change in small steps. Take it for a smaller portion, make sure you're not impacting your customers, and you're able to bring in that change into your system and release it. So that's about the use cases. And then let's get into looking at some benefits. Are there any benefits with going serverless? There are, again, humongous benefits. Let's just talk about some 5 important benefits. Of course, the first thing is reduces all these complexities. I don't want to worry about all these things. Keep it simple. Beauty lies in simplicity, right? So keep it very simple. I only take care of my functions, what I want to do. I don't want to get into the complex architecture that is underlying around. That's the important benefit of going serverless. There could be pros and cons. Let me discuss both, and I'll tell you what is the middle line that you have to take as well. The other thing is reduces capital expenditure. Organizations' capital expenditure is something most of us, that too coming to the cloud, a lot of time what we do, we want to try different things. I've made this mistake. I've seen my team make the same mistake, and I'm sure I've faced this with many of our customers as well. When we want to try something new, we go and purchase that infrastructure, whatever is available as a service. But while purchasing, you all give the credit card information. We all give the credit card information. With that, it is done. The billing is taken care. That's another department that takes care of it. So every month, the finance team keeps paying irrespective of you're using the resources or not. There has been studies which states 30% of the resources are underutilized and underused. Why do you have to pay for them? So you don't have to own your servers to do all your calculations. Instead, when you do the serverless way, you don't own that servers, it's only function, and it reduces your capital expenditure. Reduces the time taken for release cycle. We saw one of the benefits or one of the use case as automating the CI/CD pipeline. So what used to take a 60-day cycle to do a full application release from thought process to the taking it to the market, today they can be done in just if it's 1/4 the time has been reduced. You can just complete it in just 15-16 days if you know exactly what you want to do. So it has drastically reduced the time taken for any release cycle. And then easy completion of scheduled tasks. You don't have to keep, that's again another use case we saw. So you don't have to keep track of what are all the things that you need to do. So event-driven scheduled tasks are easily doable using serverless. Those are simple tasks that can be done. The other important thing is reduces the impact on the environment. Go green computing. Because as we saw, as I said earlier, 30% of the servers are underutilized or underused. You don't have to run them. We don't know the cost involved in maintaining that infrastructure or maintaining that servers, the electricity wastage or the air conditioned cooling wastage, the toxic gases that are released because of that. So all those can be reduced, and this is going to have a reduced impact on the environment, which is very important today. The whole world is today in a standstill, is mostly because the world is rejuvenating itself. So let's also try to reduce that impact. Serverless is definitely giving a go green computing, having a lesser impact on the environment. Those are some of the benefits of going serverless. So what are some of the future trends or the current trends or future, how it's going to be? It's again, how much ever we say serverless, again in its only nascent stages. Microservice container architecture itself is in nascent stage. We have been saying digital transformation or the cloud has been in progress from 2005. 16 years now, there are still systems which are legacy systems. So that being the case, it's not easy to move everything to serverless that easily. So more and more adoption is what we will see. So serverless everywhere is going to be the futuristic trend that many of the industry leaders are also predicting because of the benefits that it brings in. So it's going to be serverless everywhere, wherever places you can move. And it's going to be a connected ecosystem by the event-driven approach. As we saw, there are going to be private clouds, there are going to be public clouds, and even in public clouds, there are going to be hybrid cloud providers. Any one application or any one business, it's not going to be restricted with only one set. It's going to be the complex or the hybrid architecture of from private to the multi-cloud infrastructures or the multi-cloud functions that we are going to use. And by this event-driven approach, it's just going to be a connected ecosystem. This is the futuristic prediction or the trend that's going to come up. More and more stateful applications will also see the usage of stateless. As I said, you need not completely transfer your entire application to a serverless architecture. It's just some portion can be converted to serverless. Some portion which there are functions that are already available, which is a proven function. So see, for payment gateway, all of us need not sit and write our own code. There are payment gateway functions that are available which can be used. Because there is somebody else who's focusing dedicatedly on that, we can use that as a third-party integration. So make sure, so such integrations are going to be the futuristic thing where even the stateful application will see the usage of stateless and get into that mode slowly. And function as a service market itself is in a growth phase. Another 5 years, it's going to be 24 billion is what is the stats that I read it from this Allied market research. Today, the market is at 7 billion. So we can see the potential usage here, and we should be able to grab that market and see we are also able to get that share of it into our business, whatever business we are doing. So make sure you are converting your work into the serverless mode wherever applicable. And hardware efficiency is also improving. It's not that you can bring in all your improvements just by doing changes in your software. There are researches going on the hardware side where people want to bring in the GPUs are being used instead of CPUs, the graphic processing units, and the FPGAs are playing a great role, the field programmable gate arrays in a hardware level for better performance. I'll be talking about performance in my future slides as well. Performance is the key factor that's going to drive the entire industry. So for which these are very important, and fine-tuning at the hardware level is something most of us as vendors are also trying to do. So that's the futuristic trends. Let's look at some of the challenges. Some of them which we saw as benefits will also be seen as challenges. I'll tell you why I'm talking about that. So the primary challenge here is in serverless is about the performance monitoring. See, we are not now worried about the uptime and availability because we are not owning the server. If you own the server, the challenges here are more to do with the serverless architecture. If you are owning the server, then I would have said the primary challenge is to take care it is up and running, uptime and availability. Today, we are not owning the server. It's only function. The servers are being owned by the providers. But the functions that you write, what is your primary challenge is the performance indication. Because if you have some mistake in your code that in the function that you write and the response is going to take more time, then you are lost. We are living in this world where none of us have the time or patience to sit through pages that are going to take forever to load. Slow is the new down. So you have to make sure your functions are responding quickly. And you also need to take care of how many times the functions are being called, how many times the function call has hit the threshold limit, how many times the function call returned error. So all of those are some metrics which you need to monitor, and performance is important. That's a challenge to take care. I'm talking these challenges from a developer perspective who will be doing the serverless development, not from the vendor perspective. Security is another challenge. Being in the cloud, you have to make sure that the functions that you write, it is very difficult for you to segregate the user data. There could be some loopholes because you are using the different vendors that gives the function you may not be able to apply the security protocols on all of those layers, all of those functions that you want to use. So that's again a drawback or a challenge. and segregating user data so that one user's data is not visible to the other user. And there are problems where you could assign extra permission or extra provision rather than what is required. So those are some of the challenges. Because you're using some third-party function, you may grant additional access. The authorization can be more privilege could be given at a place where it is not required, and that could introduce security loopholes. So security is a challenge because you don't have that control. That's the next one that I'm going to say. So security is another challenge for serverless. Loss of control. Many of you, if you have started using serverless, and if you have been a traditional developer to converting to to using serverless architecture, you can feel this. We don't have the control of the entire system. We somehow feel somewhere we are lost because it's a black box, more of a black box. Even though we say it is easy, it gives us the ease of development, the sense of ownership is something that is a challenge, and that control is being lost is also a challenge that is being seen by people. I've heard people say about that as well. Scaling cost. This is a I should say this is a it's not a tricky one, but it is it's specific for the use case that you're going to solve. Meaning, see, we saw that it is one of the benefit. Cost is one of the benefits of moving towards the serverless, but it depends on what you're trying to do. See, at any point in time, I always say this: don't do things because everybody else is doing. For your application, if your application is a type where it requires the system has to be running throughout and there is going to be huge loads, possibly by having the server at your own control, you can save cost. Just because every other the market is moving towards serverless and you also move that heavy workload to serverless, you may pay more there. So you may have to weigh the pros and cons, because when there is a case where there is going to be huge load, and if you're going to convert that into a serverless architecture, you are going to end up paying more for the APIs that you use, more for the data transfer that you're going to have, more for the data storage. It's going to cost you more. So there are going to be scaling costs. It's one of the challenge as well. So I'm saying beware. So take the decision cautiously depending on what your application is and what you want to do. Cost could become a challenge for you. Difficulty in testing the setup. That's another challenge. Because you don't own the setup yourself, the local testing is becoming very difficult. The live environment could be different. So the simulation testing is going to be tough. You develop something. How do you make sure that you have the same scenario as you're going to have in deployment and then do the testing? So that's going to be a challenge. How much ever simulation you do, that the real world problem is going to be different. So the difficulty in testing is another challenge that the serverless brings in. So to overcome some of these challenges, possibly at least the main challenge, the performance challenge, you will have to make use of the monitoring tools. So serverless monitoring. What do you get out of the monitoring? So when you use, what is that? Why do I have to use monitoring is some question that people might get in, because I'm not going to, I don't want to do any operation. I don't want to get into that field. But the key performance indicators of what is happening is important for the developer to know. That is when you will be able to make it even more faster, and you will be able to make it work more efficiently. So some key metrics could be the function data itself. How many times the function has been invoked, the invocation count, how many times it touched the throttle, or how many times the duration, what is the time taken, the response time, how many times it throwed error. So all those are some things that you may have to monitor. And then about the response time over a period of time, how has it been? So that is those performance metrics are important. And you may want to know, if you have hundreds of functions, you may want to know which is the function that is taking more time and how many times it has been called. So the top slowest calls you want to know, and then make sure that you're trying to reduce the time in that, because the industry is only expecting the pages to load in just 2 seconds. 2 seconds is just this. Anything that takes more, you are at loss. So you have to make sure that you improve the performance of the system using the metrics. At a function level, at each function level, You may want to know the different component usage. Each of the function will have a database call, will have a caching request, will have a file storage. There could be some cron jobs that are running. You want to know how is the split across these functions. So that's again possible only using the tools. Could be any tool. There are different tools. There are different tools in the sense the function providers themselves are giving some metrics. Additionally, there are tools which you can use to get these metrics as well. So, and then the trace details of when did the each of this components start and when did it end, what is the time taken, what was the response given, what is the request. So all these details are possible using monitoring tools. So monitoring tools are important, and choosing the right monitoring tool is important for you. So based on what your business needs are, you have to choose the right set of tools. So when you choose the right set of, when you're into choosing tools, I always say this in many of my presentation. If somebody has attended earlier, you would have heard this from me. So there are two perspectives to this. When you're choosing a monitoring tool, you have to see all those problems it solves as well. Additionally, this is something that you have to look for. Look for ICE, where I stands for integration, C for customization, E for extension. These three are important. So when you're selecting a monitoring tool, make sure these three options are possible. By integration, what I mean, the tool that you're selecting must have the capability to integrate with the in-house tools that you're having. It's not going to be silos. There are already multiple data silos that we have. There has to be smooth integration options. Import, export options should be possible, because we are going to have multiple tools there in the system and work with it. So there has to be integrability options. Customizations are important. People are not going to just use what you're giving. People want to make a change. They may want to make small changes. They may want to change the color. They may want to change a button. They may want to change a logo. Make sure the tool allows all those options. Extensibility. We are living in this era of citizen coders. Nobody wants to just take what it is and use as it is. We want to make small extension to it, do a drag and drop, form our own UI, or extend that and write on top of it. API support has to be there. So make sure the tool that you're selecting has this feature as well. So ICE is important: integrability, customizability, and extensibility when you're selecting a tool. And this is important as a developer, as a serverless architecture, as a serverless developer as well. In the application that you're building, make sure you're giving all these features. Make sure the application that you're building has import export options. Make sure you're giving REST API support. Make sure you're giving option for customization. Only then it can integrate with other systems and the whole ecosystem can grow as such. So that's important. Look for ICE in choosing monitoring tools. So with that, I've almost come to the end. Last 5 minutes, I'll be able to complete it. So when I say about why, or the serverless, what you have to do, how you have to do, why you have to do, anything that you take, one of my favorite books is this, Start with a Why by Simon Sinek. I'm sure some of you would have read it. If not, it's a good book for you to read. So it says you have to start everything with a why. Why is the center part, that is the whole purpose, around which is how to do, around that is what you do. This is called as the golden circle. And this is applicable for any of your day-to-day activities or your development or your product building. It's applicable for everything. So why is the purpose. We call this as the 5 why technique. For anything that you want to do, ask why you have to do that. Why to do that? Why? You drill down to the 5 why, you'll be able to find the purpose why you're doing this. The example of you want to move to serverless. Possibly your system may not require it. As I said earlier, don't do because everybody else is doing. See if that is required for your business. See if it is relevant for your business. See if it doesn't affect your customers because you're trying to do this. See if it will add value to your business and it will help you in your business growth. You have to look at all this and then select. So why is very important to define the purpose. And then how you do it. You can use any technology available. You can use any monitoring tool available. How to do defines the process of how you will achieve that purpose that you have defined. So that what is the end result. You can be successful and you can skyrocket with with all the changes that you're planning to do, and you can go ahead of your competition. Because as I said in the very beginning, what is important is solving our end customers' problem and making sure customers are happy, so that the experience the customer has is important. So that's about the golden circle: why, what, why, how, and what. And of the many monitoring tools that are available, as I started with, Site 24/7 is one of the monitoring tools that can take care of all your monitoring needs from end to end. If you have a business, if you have a website, then you need a monitoring tool, and there are tools available in the market. Site 24/7 is one of them. AI-powered monitoring tool that can let you monitor all your resources from one console. We have serverless monitoring as well. And it's not a new product. It's on Zoho. The product itself is a mature product that has been in the industry for the past 15 years now. We have 10 different data centers across the globe. We are run on Zoho's data center. Zoho has its own data centers, and across 5 different regions, a primary and a secondary data center, where you can choose where you want to have the data to be. And being a cloud provider, security compliance are given importance, and we undergo stringent audits and make sure that, we are sure that your data is safe and secure. So the key takeaways from this session are just a different perspective that I had to say from my own experience on how I see the serverless world is, from how it has transformed from a monolith to a microservice to serverless, and all about the serverless, the providers, the different use cases, what are the benefits, the trends, the futuristic trends, the challenges, and the monitoring needs of the serverless architecture. Site 24/7 is one of the tools that can help you. I'm not getting into the details there, because just take a screenshot of this page, or we'll post this in the comment section as well. You sign up using this URL as a token of giving to community. Building communities is important. So it's not just growing as a independent vendor. So we have to contribute to the community as well. So you get 6 months pack free. You can use our product for 6 months free. Try the product yourself and see. You can use it for your business. You can use it for your personal needs. Could be anything. But you can use Site 24/7's full monitoring capabilities. It has this URL. Sign up using this URL. You get 6 months free subscription. So before I close, I just have one quote that I wanted to say. This is my favorite quote as well. This is called as Red Queen's quote. You can go search for Red Queen's quote. The quote goes like this: you have to be running as fast as you can in order to stay in the same place. And if you want to make any progress, you have to run twice as fast as you can. I think this is applicable to all of us in this current world. So the industry or the technology is developing or growing in such fast pace. If we don't keep ourselves updated, we will feel outdated. In order to stay in the same place, we have to keep ourselves updated and to be in line with the trend and the technology, take them and adopt them into the products. At Zoho, at Site 24/7, we follow this. We spend a lot of time in R&D. We do rewrite things wherever required and make sure that it is passed on to our customers. And as individuals, I would, and for your business as well, I would recommend you to keep this in mind, so that we are all updated and we are all in line with where the technical world is moving towards. Thank you so much for your time so long. I hope you were able to make at least some sense out of the session and some takeaways from this. Thank you, and open for questions.
Great session there, Raji. Pretty sure everybody in the audience was buzzing, and I see a lot of questions as well.
Okay.
So let me display a few questions which you can take up. And
sure.
Yeah, guys, if you need to ask Raji anything and get them answered live, now's your chance. You drop them in the comment box. Okay. All right. So we have a question from Vivek.
If I have a logic where the execution time is more, many cloud function app has exec limit. Okay. Should I work on implementing design pattern to accommodate it, or simply move it to microservices? Okay, so I'll just answer based on whatever I understand this question to be. So you have a logic where you're seeing that it is taking more time. Can the question be there on the screen
Yeah.
for some more time? Yeah, sorry. So you are writing a business logic, or you're trying to solve a problem where you're seeing that the logic that you have written is taking more time. So what you need to do is, I would say, first try to understand where it is taking more time. So it's not simply moving to a microservice, or simply moving to there is always the saying, or this always happens. We try solving performance problems by adding more resources. We just go try to add more CPU, thinking that a faster machine could solve a problem. No, we are just postponing the problem. We are not solving it by adding. We are not doing any good by adding more resources. By adding hardware doesn't solve problem. So that has to be thought in mind. Just spend some time, look into how it is designed, what is the logic behind, why it is taking time, where it is taking time. You will be able to solve it. The sooner you solve it, you are going to be in control of what is happening in that logic, rather than moving it to elsewhere and then complicating things. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, we have a question from TJ.
Any service in cloud which can reduce the size of files like PDF, doc. I think there are a lot of open source services. I'm not able to give an exact name. Akshay or should I'm again missing
Shushit.
Shushit. I'm sorry, Shushit.
It's sort of like a tongue twister now.
Yeah, seriously. You can
No
also
problem.
help me in this case. So there are a lot of open source providers. There are a lot of GitHub open repositories which are available for reducing the file sizes. So I'm not here to say any specific name here, but there are services that are available in the cloud. They are available as functions itself, which can be used in your design if you want to.
Yeah. All right. There's one more question from Vivek.
Limitations of functions as a service. Limitation is I should say, one thing is, possibly it's not a limitation, it's more of a challenge. You don't you don't the pitfall, you don't have the control of the entire system, the things that I talked about. So that's again one of the limitation, because after a point it's all black box. You don't know what is being happening on the other side. So that is a limitation. The loss of control is a limitation, I should say. Most of the challenges that I talked about comes under the limitation category. It's just the pitfalls for function as a service. So as I said, that you can try it out. All of us should definitely try it out. That's when we will know what is happening in the industry, where we can take that and use it in our application. To have that knowledge, we should definitely get dirty and figure out what is happening. But make sure, if you are in a business, you don't do that for your entire business and affect your end customers. Try it in small scales, then see how you can put it into your system so that you can be benefited.
All right. We have a question from Rajesh.
Is it recommended to run ML workloads as serverless? Yes, actually, a lot of machine learning as a service itself is picking up. So that is another area where you don't have to worry about the algorithms that you want to use. So if you have a huge amount of data, you just pass it, like how software as a service, function as a service, machine learning as a service is another domain totally on its own that is picking up, where it will do all the processing and things, where the serverless components can be used. You can use the workloads for serverless.
Okay. So Puneet has...
Yeah.
So just before in the chat, I had shared a link where the blog post talks about how you can run machine learning models on Lambda functions itself. So you can just scroll up, or I'll try to find the link and share it back here again. You can leverage serverless. I mean, there's been a lot of enhancements on how Lambda functions is specific. I work with Lambda functions day in, day out. So there has been some crazy amounts of performance improvements, and machine learning is something that a lot of people are actually using. We don't really see a lot of blog posts or people sharing their success stories where they use machine learning on serverless. But there are a few inside stories from AWS that I have heard myself that there are some really interesting use cases and customers are actually doing it. There is one particular podcast which is called as Serverless Chats. I'll try to find the link and share it here, where Ajay Nair, who's the product manager, or I don't remember the title of AWS Lambda, he talks about some statistics about how people actually use machine learning models into serverless. I'll try to find and put it. It's a really interesting podcast. You guys have to listen to it, and you'll get a lot more insights on.
Sure, it's a lot of learning for me as well. So I'll also look forward to that. Thank you.
I'll find and share.
Okay, there's one question from Puneet.
Is there any best practice on the size of serverless functions? I'm not sure if I have exactly understood this question. Size of serverless functions mean, Shushit, can you help me with this?
Yes. If I understand correctly, probably they mean the deployment package size. Yes, the best practice with, again, coming from the AWS world, with Lambda functions, it's very, very important that you keep the deployment package size as small as possible. Now, the reason being it directly impacts the cold starts of your Lambda functions. So one of the best practices is to make sure that you use only the modules or import only the modules that is very much required for your application. And that is the very first thumb rule. The second one is see for other alternatives that can probably solve your problem with a smaller package instead of the one that you are probably already using. And when it comes to Node.js, I predominantly code in Python and Node.js. So with Node.js, what we do is we do something called as tree shaking and webpacking. So what it does is it tree shakes all the unnecessary dependencies that your code is not importing, and therefore that also helps to some extent in reducing the deployment package size, which directly translates to the performance of your Lambda function.
Yeah. So to add on to what Shruti said, it's not just for any function or any application development itself, the size is very important, because the more the size, you don't have to load unnecessary things into your if you're running a JVM, it will reduce the load on the JVM. If you're running a Python, or depending on whatever language you run, make sure you keep it simple. Make sure you reduce the load on the system so that it can perform better. Performance will always be directly dependent on the load that you are providing. Whatever is required, you just include those packages.
Okay. So this is another question from PR. Not sure.
Okay. Is there normally a queue before a request reaches a serverless function? Depends on what module, what function you are using. So if there is a huge load, there will definitely be a queue component which takes in and processes it. So it's again depending on the load. So depending on the load, queue will be introduced in the entire system.
Okay. All right. I don't see any more questions, but I'm pretty sure there will be a few more questions popping up as we see towards the start of the next session. So Raji, if you could be kind enough to drop into our YouTube.
Yeah, I'll be there.
This posting.
All right. Ashish has the question.
What about function as a service on Kubernetes? Yes, so possibly I didn't mention this. Knative is something that is one of the trends. So I think I just had five points in everything. So I missed this. So of the function as a service, Kubernetes is the one that's picking the Knative applications, or the Knative platform is the one that is picking up with respect to function as a service. I'm sorry, I missed that important part.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I'm pretty sure Ashish, you got his question answered. So yeah, so like I said, Raji, it'll be great if you could hop on to our YouTube chat.
Sure.
We get a few questions after the session, so it would be great if you could answer them there, and also take up anything like regarded to your session. And
Sure.
And once again, thanks a lot for joining us at Serverless Saturdays. It was really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Pretty sure everybody in the audience also loved your session, and also the your monitoring track from Site 24/7, which we paste the links below. We'll also be pasting it once again now in the chat. And yeah, I hope we also meet up for our future events, and we can do something interesting then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raji. It was a really interesting session, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our audience would have got really good insights, and we are really looking forward to hosting you in our future events as well. And once again, thank you so much for the Site 24/7 the gift for our audience, and we really look forward to people using it. And thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. So I'll be around. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that was Raji, guys. I'm pretty sure all of you found it very informative. And yeah, before we move on to our next speaker for the day, I think there's an important announcement Sushit is about to make. So Sushit?
Yes. So okay, this is regarding reskill.
Yes.
Yes. So I see that this is one of our successful Serverless Saturday sessions. A lot of people are asking a lot of questions, a lot of interactions happening, and I'm really happy to see all of this happening. So one small announcement, or just a thing that we wanted to bring it up here, is about AWS Reskill. So Reskill is a platform that is built by the community, driven by the community of the AWS community, to help people upskill and get started with cloud, and get into the advanced stages and stuff like that. So Reskill is a platform. It's a free platform. You can leverage it, and I think Akshay is already sharing it. It's driven by the community, so it has a bunch of challenges now that you can take. There are weekly challenges, monthly challenges, and stuff like that, where you can go through the sessions videos and participate in the challenges, which is basically a quiz. And not just learning from Reskill, you also can earn money, literally. So you can earn points, and you can translate those points into Amazon vouchers. As of today, it's limited to the Indian audience, wherein you can get Amazon vouchers. Akshay, can you just get there, please, the reward section?
Yes.
My profile.
Excuse my profile, guys. I'm still a noob, but
Yes. So you earn a bunch of cool badges, and it's not just learning, but you can literally earn some money from this as well. So we have a bunch of new things coming up, where you can submit your blogs, you can submit your certifications, we feature them, and stuff like that. So again, this is a community-driven thing, and there's nothing out of it. It's just that to help you guys get started and upskill with AWS. So I'll be sharing the link to Reskill in the chat box, and looking forward to seeing you guys over there on the platform and upskilling.
Yep. It's a great platform to upskill and also learn about the latest and best in AWS. So exactly like how Sushil said, it is a very interactive way about how you take up these challenges and upskill yourself. You watch a video where a skilled speaker talks about his or her experiences on AWS and how you build on them, and then you take up a set of predefined MCQs. And once you complete all the MCQs, you earn points with which you can claim rewards, and also in turn upskill yourself. And like Rashid said, right now the rewards are limited to an Indian audience, but we might come up with more later on. So, but Reskill is open to everybody from all parts of the world to participate in an upskill. So please do check it out. Links will be in the comment box below.
And one more last thing I wanted to add is the entire platform is built on serverless.
Yes.
I hope one day we can actually walk you through, guys, how we build this application, what is the architecture, and how are we handling scale. It's been just a couple of months since this product was launched, and we are reaching 10K users already, and
Yes.
it's going to scale, and it'll be interesting to talk about the different challenges, the scaling, things like that we faced in real world. I hope I'll probably do a session of that in one of our Serverless Saturday sessions.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the day is not far when we receive that session. So yeah. Okay. All right. So without further ado, let me bring out our next speaker, who's Alex, and who's joining us all the way from the US. So yeah, without further ado, let me bring Alex onto the stage. Hey, Alex.
Hi.
Yes. Yeah, really great to have you here with us. Yeah, there's some audio issue as always, but I'm pretty sure it won't be there when I drop backstage. So Alex, both Shushit and I are really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
And a special mention, to you for joining us pretty late in the night. I'm pretty sure that's not what everybody else can do generally, and let alone give a webinar on something really interesting, right? So guys, I'm pretty sure you guys will like what Alex is about to present. So Alex, it'll be great if you could just give a brief introduction about yourself, what you do, and what your talk is going about, right? Sure.
Thank you. And thank you, Shushit and Akshay, for hosting. My name is Alex Zumkwala, and I am a independent software developer. My clients hire me on a platform called AWS IQ to do on-demand work for them. And I'm also an AWS community builder, like Shushit. And community builders are people who are on everywhere around the world who are doing things online to educate and grow everyone who is in the building great things for users. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start my slides, Shushit and Akshay. So
yes. Yeah, I can see it. Let me add it to the screen.
Awesome. Okay, great. So the title of this talk is, this presentation is Connecting Us with Video, and it's technical discussion about cloud computing and Amazon's serverless video services. And it's really exciting to talk about serverless in video. It's a very opinionated talk, and I'm going to have 10 use cases to go over and 2 demos. There are going to be some social media hashtags. There are 5 hashtags that you'll see on the slides, and feel free to ask questions in the YouTube chat. We'll get to the questions at the end, and we'll set aside maybe 10 minutes for questions. Okay, first, also, I want to encourage everyone to try a poll question. So I've put a link in the YouTube chat, and it's called pollev.com, and there is one question that is activated, and that question is, have you ever built a web or mobile app with video before? And so just pop on over to the poll and feel free to answer. All right, so let's start off with a map. These are the exciting new ways to talk about video applications. And this map is kind of has 3 columns. And it's about, the center column is the serverless video services on the cloud from AWS. And these are very emergent services. They're very new to building applications. At the top, you have interactive video service, and then you have Elemental Media Live and the whole suite of Elemental services, CloudFront, Chime, which is and Alexa. So these services are on the cloud, and I'm going to go over each one of them in use cases. On the left here, we have very, very popular applications to contribute video to a video application. When an app feeds video to Amazon services, we call that contribution. And there are very popular ones like Open Broadcast Software or Ffmpeg, and then down here we have the web browser, which is kind of abstracted as a set of APIs called media devices. On the right-hand side, we call this distribution. Where is the video received? And the most popular one is going to be the web browser, but the exciting new way to use video is it can go to all sorts of devices, and including Alexa-enabled devices. Also, it's very nice now that there are a lot of popular web browser frameworks, such as video.js and others, which allow a video application to play video in the web browser and also provide hooks for augmentation of that audio and video with things like machine learning. So that's kind of like the map, and we're going to go through all these nice services. So why talk about this at a serverless meetup? Well, serverless is making video very exciting. We could say that video is now becoming elemental because of all the uses of video now and the amazing internet that we have. And serverless is exciting because it makes on-demand access to video services possible. So we can just turn them on when we want them and turn them off when they're unnecessary. That means we can do the big things, do very mighty things with tiny budgets. And this is really where I think the adoption and the excitement of building new applications for serverless developers is. And video can make an app that you have today more exciting. So let's start talking about some of the deep technical problems that are in video services. So first, here's my key point, and I have 3 key points. I hope you remember these 3 points more than anything. Right? The first key point is that for builders, Amazon is lining up SDKs, services, and codecs for video on serverless. All right, this is going to save developers a huge amount of time on construction. And what this is really is kind of about the stack. It's more than just what's on the cloud. It's like the entire stack of software that comes together to build an application, from what's running on the client to what's on the cloud, and the key pieces of software called codecs. They all have to come together well. And now because these are all getting lined up, it's quicker, it's faster to make decisions and build video applications quickly. So that's my first key point. Now, let's talk about where is video fitting in here, and why is it so important to talk about right now? Well, very honestly, video is necessary to building our future. I mean, today video allows us to see each other. This is the primary need of video services. And we're in a pandemic right now, and video use is exploding. However, let's also think about what's going on in the next 5 years or 10 years. Machines use video as input. And this is where the future need, where we're going to build serverless applications for. And this is where an expert in serverless has a lot of opportunity. Okay, so let's talk about the serverless services and how we're changing what serverless means now in some ways. Serverless is getting a lot bigger than Lambda. And this is really exciting for us, right? So now we have services like Kinesis Video Streams, Interactive Video Service, Elemental Media Live, Recognition, which is a machine learning service, Chime, Aws Amplify, and of course, S3 and CloudFront. And so this is all really exciting because now we can use Lambda for our compute, with all these services to augment any of the video streams that we're putting in there. And then we can, do something exciting with it, such as distribute it through a web application. Or we could store it on S3. So this is all kind of really nice. And for builders like us, I'd love to point out AWS Amplify. AWS Amplify is one of Amazon's tools chains to build applications quickly. And Amplify is very, very amazing for serverless developers because it can build serverless applications quickly. And so one of the themes here is building fast, building quickly with video. And we're going to go a little bit more into how AWS Amplify can help. So we have this serverless paradigm, and we have video that's changing our everyday internet use. It's very exciting. I mean, look at all the cool things that can be done with video. Things like live events or replaying. Like in-store customer analytics, like how many people visited a store in an hour. And then we have like robotics. Robotics can see things with video. And then we have things like satellites. And satellites are, feeding video streams and really expanding the definition of video to not just like the video that we use with our cameras, but video of any sort, like radar or whatever it may be. Really changing, expanding the notion of what video is. And of course, we have telehealth monitoring, and probably a very popular use case is a video production. All right, so now we're going to talk about like the essentials. Like, why is this so essential? Now, video software stacks solve tough problems very economically. Right. So what does this mean? Like everyone everywhere is like we're inventing and we're creating solutions. We're building robots that automate tasks. Software robots, hardware robots. We're building autonomous vehicles. So why can this be done quickly? It's because we now have low cost SDKs for serverless developers, and this means that the hardest part of inventing I think a complex system is like finding those compatible SDKs that can come together. And this is really the challenge for the solution architect on the serverless platform, is to kind of identify device and software compatibility for a video application. So now that Amazon is lining all these up, we can quickly and economically pick a stack, and that means inventors can put more time into their application and into doing some amazing things and augmenting video. So this is really cool. And now, why is the cloud necessary? We have serverless computing, and well, this serverless computing is doing something for the efficiency of using video. Serverless is eliminating a lot of the hardware headaches for video in the cloud. So that means we can kind of scale up and scale down the use of our hardware quickly. And they also, I've already touched on developer tool compatibility. And of course, this compatibility is eliminating the risk of going to production. Now, codec availability is also really important. And what this means is that the codecs that we can choose for our applications are, sometimes picking one can be the most difficult part of an application. But the cloud in Amazon's video services are supporting the popular codecs, which have different prices, and this is a very important part of the cloud's offering. And finally, of course, people. I mean, why are we talking about this, right? We're talking about connecting people, right? Well, the cloud is a place where people already know how to connect to. People understand what the cloud is now, and they know that their applications can connect to it. So this is where people who want to understand your applications, they are they can find the cloud essential because they'll understand what the cloud is. It is possible to do peer-to-peer video, which is off the cloud, and I do have a demonstration of this with Alexa. And we'll talk about the strengths and weaknesses of that, but it's still very hard. So a lot of video applications still use the cloud today to get around a lot of the challenges in peer-to-peer. And then finally, durability. And this is kind of, I think, where the Amazon is winning, and the cloud computing is winning. Is that that video? If you take that amazing shot with your video camera at home or or at work, and you don't want to lose it because it's very expensive to replace. So when that video gets on the cloud, it can it's safe there, and of course we can then use that video in all sorts of different processes without worrying about it, losing it or getting inadvertently modified. All right, so here are the deep technical problems, and I'm not going to go too much into these, but just that they're really hard to solve. And one of the benefits of going on the cloud, and instead of like building our own data centers and launching our own servers, is that these technical problems are kind of like solved for us in many ways. And what this means is that the things like transmission between video of content from from a point of presence on CloudFront to a very low bandwidth device like a mobile phone. These are difficult technical problems that Amazon is solving for us, and things like high volume video ingest. Think about all the scaling that has to come into picture. Things like scaling up GPUs, scaling up servers. That's all done for us. That auto scaling up and down, and that's where it's possible to do a large volume of ingest video into the cloud. Things like fast reformatting, machine learning. All these things are now they're getting solved for us, and they're essential problems to solve. And then finally, I think the most interesting one to the future, we talked about smart cities, we talked about serverless apps in the future. It's that proximity between like storage and machine learning computation. So one of the benefits of putting data on S3 is we can process it with Lambda, and they're really close to each other. And that means things can be more efficient. And this is really, going to become more and more important as efficiency is necessary to build like smart cities that are in a low cost way. Okay, so now we're going to kind of talk about construction, like building these applications on the cloud and with the cloud. So we're going to go over some use cases. All right, so here's a use case, like how do I make a website that streams a live event? And the hashtag for this one is connect audience. Connect us to an audience. And here's kind of like the kind of what it takes, right? We're going to need a source to feed video, and it could be anything. It could be a satellite, it could be a video camera. We're just going to call it a source. And then we have a step called intake. Right? Intake is the kind of receives video from a source, and it's on the cloud. AWS Elemental Media Live is a very popular service for intaking video to the cloud. And then we have to format that video for that live event, because we want to make we want to connect ourselves to an audience. The audience may have different devices, they may have different internet connectivity quality, and so the source video may not be the optimized for all those devices. So we need to start formatting it for that audience and expand that audience as large as possible for that live event. All right, and sometimes we want to augment that live event video. This is where Lambda and the serverless computation is kind of very exciting and opening up a lot of possibilities. Of course, we may be able to store that augmented video, and we can, service like S3, and then we may want to redrive that augmented video to and distribute it to receivers, and these could be devices that are small, large, and they're connected to the internet. Large, high bandwidth connections, low bandwidth connections, connections that maybe are intermittent, like Wi-Fi, connections that are steady. We want to have a wide audience as possible, and a service like Aws CloudFront is kind of handles all of that difficulty of redriving that stream to all these different types of devices, so we don't have to think about it ourselves. So here's now my first tip, and I have 3 tips. When we make an exciting video application, say something that hosts a live event, we really want to think hard about what the audience experience is like. And any application that's going to succeed is going to have metrics, right? And serverless can host something aside from the video. Serverless can actually host nice metric machines about video quality for people. So for example, if you develop a web application to host a live event, you're going to want to build maybe a serverless machine that can intake real-time data about things like how many frames per second are there, how many frames are dropped, what's the quality of the internet connection, and then so your video application has that metric and can think about the performance, quality, and the experience of the customers in a data-driven way. And serverless is really amazing. Services like Kinesis data streams, AWS QuickSight, Elasticsearch, S3, these things can come together very nicely. So that's my first tip for everyone about how to use serverless to build something for a video application. So here's another kind of like a use case that I really kind of want to encourage people to think about the future, which is like connecting us to like robots. So, what does that mean? It's like, robots maybe need to like, see things. Maybe we want to see us if we're, crossing the path of a robot. But we're also going to see a lot of use of robotics in smart cities. For example, make a robot that can find recycling bins that are full or not full, like a simple classification, a binary classification, right? And these are kind of like the exciting ways that the video can be used in the future smart cities. So please think about this in the future about future uses. And Amazon has services like RoboMaker and whatnot too to make robots, which we'll touch on a little bit more later. So now here's kind of a nice little interesting hashtag called Connect Customer, which is kind of like the idea of like a service being able to use video to connect to its customer. For example, make an autonomous vehicle that counts the number of passengers for an urban planner. An urban planner has placed an autonomous vehicle in public transit. It wants to know how many passengers are on it, each day or each hour. Like a video feed that can, count the number of people. Just simple counting these are kind of like the interesting ways to use serverless and video and machine learning together to solve a problem for a business, just like counting the number of customers. Now, again, when we think about constructing these applications, we want to do them quickly, and one way to kind of explain how to build quickly is a really popular kind of way of reusing software that's already written. Things like open source SDKs. So for example, Amazon has a SDK called the Kinesis Video Stream Producer, and it can run on a device, and it can feed video to AWS Kinesis Video Stream. AWS Kinesis Video Stream is one of Amazon's serverless services to intake video at scale. To get video to it, it can be a custom application, like a C++ application. And you don't have to write the integration yourself, because you can just reuse what's out there on, written for you. But it's also not just SDKs, it's the automation of the infrastructure, infrastructure as code, things like CloudFormation templates. And I'm going to show you two CloudFormation templates for one for each of the demos, where you can get them. Of course, there's open source software in the web browsers, things like one popular one is video.js. And of course, we can reuse Amazon services like the video services. And codecs. Codecs are very, you can always write your own codec if you're if it's necessary for application. But the safe way to kind of get to a large audience possible is to reuse a codec. And Amazon services support popular codecs like H.264. Containers, way to contain different types of video data streams together. Reuse those. You don't have to invent your own now. Things like MKS, and of course, machine learning. Right now it's really popular to make custom machine learning models, but it's possible to kind of build quickly at a low cost with by reusing services like Rekognition from Amazon. Rekognition is Amazon's kind of machine vision service, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit more too. All right, so kind of second time to touch on Aws Amplify and how it can help us build quickly. So imagine you're a developer and you want to get started with building a video application quickly. Well, Amazon has a service called Aws Amplify, and it has a command line tool called the Amplify CLI. And this tool really quickly can synthesize an application. And say I want to build an application for a user where the users can screencast their video, video of their screen, and then it's a custom application, and people can pay money to see the gamer screencasting, and they can chat with the gamer. They can maybe spend the $1 to get the gamer to play a certain way that they want them. So you got this idea of a gamer connecting to an audience, and you want to build it quickly, right? So you can use Aws Amplify in these really simple steps, like amplify init, amplify add video, amplify publish, and a tremendous amount of that application is synthesized for you. And then that gives you more time to add important features like collecting payments or creating interactivity for the users and the gamer. So Aws Amplify is I think going to grow in importance for serverless developers. So if you haven't checked it out, please give it a look and to see how it can speed up your application development. And there are lots of videos about how to use Aws Amplify on YouTube. So I won't go into a demonstration of it here because it's very well covered. But feel free to message me after the talk. If you need any support about how to use Aws Amplify. All right, I'm going to take a quick break here to go onto the second poll question. And we got about 13 responses on the first one. And thank you very much. And I'm going to activate the second one. Let's kind of quickly look at the answers for the first one. Looks like for the first question, the answer was, have you ever built a web application or mobile application with video? 31% said yes, and about 70% said no. So it sounds like we have an audience that's very new to building video applications, so that's really cool. Now that was the first one, and now the second question is, have you ever used Ffmpeg? So if you could please go back to that same link. I'm going to put it in the chat, and please jump on the link and answer the second question if you like. And I'm going to talk about Ffmpeg if you've never heard of it before. All right. All right, so here's my second tip in my presentation for you. And it is that Ffmpeg is a nice universal video tool. Ffmpeg is a downloadable executable app. It's open source, and it can augment video. It can modify video. This is really important to service developers who want to maybe build a Lambda function that modifies and augments video. They can a serverless developer can take Ffmpeg, and it's kind of big. The Lambda restriction is about 256 megabytes, but with Lambda layers or Lambda containers, you can get up to 10 megabytes. 10 gigabytes. I'm sorry. But the Ffmpeg is a very nice Lambda layer, and so you can put it in a layer once, and then many Lambda functions can reuse that layer. So each Lambda function doesn't have to contain this application. A good tip is Ffmpeg is a very nice universal video tool. Okay, so I want to pause here just for 1 second to talk about patterns. And we're all busy, we're writing code, but let me say that patterns are now kind of more, I want to say, where we're encouraged to start thinking about when it comes to developing on the cloud. And so what does that mean? I'll give you an example. Amazon, I think they're trying to discourage us from looking and thinking about every single line of code. They're encouraging us to reuse code, reuse parts, and to think about patterns. And in fact, Amazon launched a new collection of patterns called the AWS Solution Constructs, where we're encouraged to think about how to put services together. How do I put Kinesis video stream together with S3 and Lambda? How do I put AWS Elemental Media Live together with Lambda and CloudFront? So we're going to call these patterns, services together, build really amazing serverless applications. If you're looking for a place to start, maybe start looking at patterns that on AWS Solution Constructs. So here's my second kind of encouragement to everyone who's new to video applications. The exciting patterns are more advanced than simple recording and playback of video. So this is like kind of like an encouragement to build a video application that does something like augment the video stream. Amazon's services like CloudFront and Kinesis video streams, they're really good at doing something that's very, I want to say, common, and I almost want to call it like commodity stuff. Like ingest video, distributed video. Like an application that wants to do something exciting, it has to go beyond what Amazon services are doing. The Amazon is trying to save developers time and money on building, and these patterns can help you save time and money in construction. So think a lot about these patterns that are available if you want to get started. And and remember, like the patterns on the cloud are like a starting point. The biggest stack, the stuff that goes in your application, the SDKs, any machine learning models, the devices and the software and the devices. We can kind of think of that as a very large pattern too. And I think I encourage people to reuse those larger patterns too. Okay, so let's go over some more patterns. So here's a pattern, and the hashtag is connect customer, and we're going to call it the Netflix pattern. We want to store some video and transform it so lots of different devices can receive it, and then we want to deliver it. We want to distribute all that video, and this is often called a video on demand use case. Amazon has services like AWS Elemental Media Convert, which can do that really difficult transformations for us quickly. Some of the problems in this is, how can I create, take one video file and make media that can play on lots of different devices? How do I make a video start quickly on a mobile device, so they don't have to wait for the entire video application to download. They can view it in like a streaming sense. What are the SDKs that can play back the media? To transform it has to be compatible with the playback software. So here are some of the solutions that can help and solve these problems, right? There is a very popular protocol called HTTP live streaming. It's abbreviated HLS, and it can send a video in segments instead of so that a mobile device can start replaying that video on demand quickly. Just building up a buffer of segments instead of having to wait for the entire large video file to download. And there are other type of formats which kind of can adapt to devices, and when they do adapt, they're called adaptive bitrate formats, ABR formats, and such as Microsoft Smooth Streaming, and because these mobile devices, they may have an internet connection, but that internet connection may go up or down, and be intermittent, and be problems. In a real world, the internet's not perfect. And so these ABR formats, they can adapt, they can scale up the bit rate for that stream, they can scale it down, and a service like Aws CloudFront can handle all that kind of, I want to say, a distribution challenge for us. And of course, elasticity. Netflix may in the morning have a small number of users, and right after dinner may have a large number of users. The elasticity that we get when we use the cloud, like with CloudFront or with Media Convert, is really, really, really nice. And so this is kind of the connect customer theme. All right. All right, we don't have too much time left here. We have 15 minutes, so I'm going to try to go a little faster. So here's the idea of a live music concert. We want to connect an audience. And so how do we do that? We want to, with music, a lot of music lovers, they want high quality streams. So you take a video stream from a musician, you transform it, and you deliver it. Some of the challenges are making really high quality video, and Amazon services support higher quality audio and video, for example, Dolby sound. So the way you get there is you have to configure the services for that quality level. So think about how to configure the service to match the viewer's quality, sense of quality. All right. So now I'm going to get to my first demonstration. And it's called video that's, video is hard to understand, and hashtag connect coworker. I'm going to go ahead and ask Shrishit to play that first video that is in the StreamYard.
Hi. This is the first demo on connecting us with video. It's named Broaden an Audience for a Hard to Understand Coworker, and it's hashtagged connect coworker. Here's how it works. I'm going to stream a camera feed with audio and video and no subtitles from my Android phone. I'm going to replay that exact stream with a little bit of a delay, but with an augmentation from the cloud, subtitles. This is a cup with water. The subtitle will show up in a little delay, maybe 10 seconds. Now, let's go over the stack of how this all works. Deep technical problem described in this map is augmenting a stream with subtitles, and doing so quickly. It's not completely serverless, though there are several services that are serverless. For example, Media Live is a serverless ingress service that will receive a stream and make it available to other services at Amazon. Here we use transcribe and translate to create subtitles, and we store those in S3. Lambda at Edge reassembles a new stream that can be distributed with CloudFront. My Chromebook watches that stream from CloudFront, augmented with subtitles.
Yeah, that was like really cool, right? Like you had all these serverless services coming together to add subtitles, and we can call that like a live stream that is augmented. And if you want to try this yourself, there's a little scan me code down here to a third-party GitHub repository where you can try this demo at home yourself. We're running out of time, so I'm gonna kind of speed this up a little bit and kind of get to the second demo. So we kind of touched on this stack a little bit with Amplify, just real quickly, like Amplify can build web applications or mobile applications. For example, an Android app. And there is a very nice plugin called Amplify Video Category. Amplify is an extensible CLI architecture, and the video category is how you can kind of get to a video app quickly with Amplify. All right. So another kind of really kind of fun use case is thinking about video analytics. Like what's going on in a video. For example, connecting a store owner to their customers by understanding how many customers come in per hour. One way to design this quickly is to use Kinesis video streams and then do a nice analytics stack with serverless computing. Aws recognition can do things like count the number of objects in a video stream or count the number of people. So video analytics is now simplified for us and it's really neat. Okay, another kind of a really cool use case is things like I want to say understand who's in a picture or who's showing up or how many is showing up. So if you ever get a question like who's in this video or like what type of scene is this now, consider Aws recognition to help you solve those quickly. I've built my video application myself for my clients. For example, I built one app that connected a person to another person, like a coworker. It was called Face to Face. And I built it with Amplify, and I also built it with Chime. And it was really amazing because I only had a couple days to build it, and I was so impressed with how quickly I could build an application with Aws Amplify and Chime. All right, so now we're going to get to the second demo, which is a demo with Alexa and video and peer-to-peer video. So Shritit, can you please play the second video?
Hi. This is the second demo in the Connecting Us with Video talk. It's named Alexa, show me who's at the door. And it's hashtag connect visitor. Here's how it works. I'm going to ask my Echo Show to show me the video of who's visiting me at my door. I'm going to simulate a doorbell with a camera with my Chromebook and a webcam. The Alexa Echo Show and the Chromebook are connected to my Verizon Home Wi-Fi router. Let's see who's visiting. Alexa, show me the doorbell.
Okay.
Alexa, stop. it worked. Now let's go over the software stack so you could do this yourself. Here's a map. It's a serverless stack. The difficult technical problem is streaming video from the Chromebook with the webcam directly to the Alexa Echo Show in a peer-to-peer manner that stays off the internet. This is called a WebRTC peer-to-peer video stream. It's possible because of the Kinesis video stream service with a resource called a signal channel. The Chromebook and the Alexa Echo Show can coordinate because of the signal channel. The virtual camera on my Chromebook feeds video to the Alexa Echo Show with a screen which receives video, and it's all kept off the internet. The Alexa smart home skill controls what happens when I talk to my Echo Show. It's a Alexa skill hosted in a Lambda function written in Node.js and JavaScript. This is all kept safe with Login with Amazon. I log in with Amazon to my Alexa Echo Show, and I also log in to the Alexa app for Android on my Android phone. Finally, I link with Login with Amazon my doorbell smart home skill to my Alexa account. This keeps it all safe.
Back to the screen, thank you. So if you want to try out that demo, you can scan the QR code and it'll take you to a third-party GitHub repository. And that was an example of peer-to-peer video where the Chromebook was streaming video to an Alexa device, and that keeps it off the cloud, which means you don't have to pay for the video ingress and egress charges that come along with using the cloud. So very, very exciting future possibilities. So that was kind of like, we don't have too much time left. So I kind of went over, peer-to-peer versus, at the edge from CloudFront. It's just, here's my tip, serverless is, it's a nice way to, use someone else's code. Because when you write your own code, there's always a chance of bit rot. And of course, that peer-to-peer example, I need to touch on it real quickly because serverless does have limits. It can't scale to infinity. The cloud, isn't always necessary to get video from one place to another. Sometimes the cloud can just facilitate the connection as it did with a signal channel with Kinesis video streams. It's kind of like a part of our theme here of thinking about how to architect this video. And then, of course, CloudFront is at the edge. We call CloudFront an edge service. And CloudFront has something called Lambda at edge, which is a serverless compute platform at the edge. Now, here's my final key point. If you can remember this, it'd be great. Is Lambda is an amazing platform. It's an exciting platform because it's a computing platform to augment video. All right. Not too much time left here. So I'm just going to kind of touch on these points. We can use machines to monitor live video, and this is becoming a very popular future use case. One of the challenges is doing this at scale and having elastic resources to do this. And the cloud gives us that, and serverless computing can do that quickly by bringing up a video stream and bringing it down. Assembly is this notion of reconstructing a video stream. A large part of the video service today, it's for production of video. Taking video and transcoding it and reformatting it for use. So we call this production, and it helps a video maker connect to a large audience. And that can be necessary because the audience can be non-uniform. You don't know which one may be the best one beforehand, so you assemble it in lots of different ways. Of course, we have robotics. Robotics, they need to see people. If a robot's around and a person crosses the path, we kind of want the robot to understand it's us. So the hashtag here is connect robots. Connect us to a robot. And serverless can do some really hard parts of that. And Amazon has a service called RoboMaker, which can provide a control plane for that type of robot. Finally, we have vehicles, autonomous vehicles. The challenge with a vehicle is it has to drive well on the open road. And serverless can help a vehicle do that because it can help host all this video necessary to train a machine learning model. Now, a lot of training is still done with servers, so this is not a completely serverless solution. But the advantage of using S3 to host all that video is that it can keep it really close to the compute where the GPUs are for training that model. And then when you take the model and put it back on the vehicle, it can be a better model. And the models often get better if they have more training data, more validation data. And so, the larger the training set, the better, right? And if you're wondering, where does Amazon get into all its growth? Well, a huge amount of growth right now in Amazon Web Services is coming from video for automobiles because they use that video like LiDAR, radar, camera cameras to kind of make the autonomous vehicles smart. And finally, we just have the kind of codecs. The codecs are really important choice. The most popular codec that you're probably going to hear about is H.264, but there are many new ones. AV1 is something that Amazon and Google and others are coming together to create, and it's a lower cost piece of software because it is royalty free. And so codecs, just think about your codecs. And I think, Krishit, I think we're kind of running out of time, so I want to kind of get to Q&A or let you wrap it up.
Okay, Alex. I'm pretty sure we can extend for a little more time. Unless it's getting late for you.
I have a few more minutes if there are any questions.
Sure. Okay, so there is a question from Indrajit.
Okay, hi, Indrajit. What are common used patterns in streaming? Well, in addition to the ones I've touched on, I would encourage people to think about the web browser and machine learning in the web browser. People are streaming video to and from web browsers, and the web browser is becoming a new emerging place to run machine learning with video streams. Things like TensorFlow in the web browser. So these are, there's some new emerging patterns, and I'd say then there's the patterns I've already touched on thus far.
Okay, great. We have another question from Atiret.
Hi, Atiret. Could you please touch on how to start on AWS IQ as well? Yeah, sure. AWS IQ is Amazon's service for on-demand support, where an AWS customer could hire an expert like me or any of you. There are some limitations to who can be an expert. They're all on the website, but one of them is just having a certification. For example, I have the AWS Professional Solutions Architect and Professional DevOps Engineering, and that qualified me to be an expert. So certification is a good place to start in addition to all the other matters listed on the AWS IQ website.
All right, so I don't see any other questions, so maybe you can get you can continue with your session. We'll be receiving them as you progress.
Okay, yeah. Just maybe to wrap up the poll responses. The second question was, have you ever used Ffmpeg? About 2/3 said they have used it, and 1/3 said they did not. that's a kind of that's nice of you guys to kind of chime in. And so now I'm going to just kind of like activate the last kind of little Q&A in the poll link, and it's just like a little happy to sad face. How did you feel about this presentation? And thank you very much.
Okay, so I posted the link of the poll below, guys. So if any of you you really liked Alex's session, which I'm pretty sure you did, because a couple of really cool, interesting demos there. And it seemed really interesting to just imagine about all the real life applications this could have. Of course, it does have, but on what it could be, and yeah, I'm pretty sure we all get the idea of what I'm coming to here. Yeah, so guys, if you guys have any more questions for Alex, now's the time to ask it. It's pretty late in the night for Alex, and we sure as well, don't want to disturb his sleep cycle. So. All right.
Yes.
I don't see any questions right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I would also like to thank Alex for staying up late, a different time zone altogether, but shows his
Yes.
passion for the serverless community. And that was a really cool couple of demos, actually, Alex. And we should actually convert it to a workshop if you're interested. I think most of our participants will be interested to probably, do a hands-on. And I don't know how feasible it is, but that is something that we can think about and for our future sessions.
Yep, I totally agree. So once again, thanks a lot, Alex, for joining us on Serverless Saturdays all the way from the USA. And yeah, I really hope all you guys are staying safe out there, like in these very tough times. Okay, I guess Rashid is sharing screen. Yep, over to you, Rashid.
Yes. So, yep, I just wanted to bring it out again. So, this is the repository where we are maintaining all the session details and the required details for you guys to refer back to. We will get the demo links and the GitHub links and whatever we can from Alex and from Raji as well, the presentation link, so that in case you want, you can come back and just revisit them. And I'm pretty sure they'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions that you have. You can get connected with them and answer all of your questions. And thank you so much for everybody who's joined us as a part of the Serverless Saturdays for April. And for May, we have a couple of interesting sessions. It's still not finalized, but one of it is going to be how to build an application end-to-end using Amplify, which is something that Alex also touched about, and how easy it is for developers to get started with. So that is something that we will be doing, and another session will also be scheduled. Now we will be coming up with the details pretty soon for the next Serverless Saturdays, and I would request you guys to go ahead and start this repository. So that is one way you can let us know that you are really liking it, and it also helps in spreading the word. And last but not the least, we also have a form. This is the link of the form, and I'm pretty sure Akshay will be posting the link in the chat.
Yes.
Wherein you can go give your feedback, and more importantly, if you are interested in presenting at Serverless Saturdays, we'll be more than happy to host you. And just drop an email to us. You can send it to either me, Akshay. We have a bunch of guys here. You can send out an email or fill up the form, share your feedback, and what are the or these are the next couple of things, or the topics that you're interested in that you want us to cover in the upcoming sessions, and we will be more than happy to address them and try to cover them as sessions.
Yeah, with that being said, once again, really huge thanks to Alex for joining us today, and also showing the entire community how it is done using these really cool like you can say real world applications, which is also demoed here. So Alex, we hope we get another session from you really soon. And yeah, don't worry, it will be in a completely different time, probably daytime for you, so that you have much more time on your hands, and you also feel a little okay doing it. So yeah, so with that being said, thanks a lot for tuning into today's session, guys. And yeah, if you like the sessions presented here, please do like the channel and subscribe to it for more such content. We will be coming up with new content every month on the fourth Saturday of every month. And yeah, I hope to see all you guys there on the next month as well.
Thank you so much, everyone, and please do stay safe and at home, most of the hopefully.
Yes, guys. Thank you so much, and see you guys in the next one. Cheers.